Good morning, friends, all the regional anesthesia enthusiasts. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, audible.
Yeah, all the regional anesthesia enthusiasts, as well as organizers and all my friends. I have fond memories of Nagpur, where I had been for one regional anesthesia workshop few years back. Really amazed with Dr. Sandeep's presentation. I thought what he is going to speak beyond brachial plexus about shoulder, but he made it so lucid and so much advanced and so many individual blocks and lot many things that it was a very nice presentation. Coming to my presentation, it is very basic and it is exactly up. This is very basic and informative and something ordinary you all must have been using, but just sharing my presentation. Let's see how I can do.
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
Yeah, I will start sharing.
Yes, and just put it into the presentation mode, sir. Yes, we can see the full screen now.
Yes. Rescue blocks in upper limb PNS guided. As it is often brachial plexus is often called as spinal anesthesia of upper limb, as most of the surgeries can be performed using it. But there are some areas. Even with proper administration of brachial block, there are chances that certain nerves are skipped from blocking, which needs supplementation or rest. Innervation of the upper limb. Brachial plexus provides motor innervation to all muscles of the upper extremity, except the trapezius and the levator scapulae, which one must know. The sensory innervation, brachial plexus provides sensory innervation to whole of the upper extremity, except the axilla and posterior medial aspect of the upper arm, which is supplied by intercostobrachial branch of the second intercostal nerve, and shoulder and scapular area, which is supplied by supraclavicular branches of the cervical plexus. This is official and this is age old that these things are not supplied by brachial plexus. So even if you have given a good brachial plexus block, these areas might have to be blocked by a separate injection or separate technique. Then next rescue blocks which comes to our mind or a separate block is the musculocutaneous nerve. Musculocutaneous nerve and medial cutaneous nerve of arm and forearm. What happened is annotation. The musculocutaneous nerve arises from lateral cord. It lies lateral and slightly anterior to the axillary artery in the axilla and then descends caudally and laterally towards the internal portion of the coracobrachialis muscle. Quite often, it is missed during local anesthetic deposition around the artery during axillary and infraarticular block and needs to be blocked separately. As our knowledge increased, we observed that why musculocutaneous nerve is spared during axillary block, because it is given quite proximally and it is very much separate and away from the axillary area and not in the so-called sheath of the around the axillary artery. So it needs to be blocked separately if it is spared. The skipped area supplied by the nerve of arm and forearm also sometimes get skipped and which can be blocked by local anesthetic infiltration in a band-like fashion on medial aspect of the arm just below the axilla, where it blocks the intercostobrachial nerve also. Coming to the main part of my lecture today, that is the rescue blocks are divided into which can be administered around elbow and wrist. There is one more block called as mid-humeral block. This is similar to axillary plexus, which is individual nerve blocks done at the mid-arm level, but that I will not cover. The median, radial, and ulnar nerves can be blocked around elbow or wrist as rescue blocks. Proper knowledge of anatomy is mandatory for proper execution of these blocks. Indications of elbow and wrist blocks are supplementation of incomplete proximal block. then these blocks should be used for individually. These blocks should be used for surgeries without a tourniquet or with only a short duration of tourniquet because it doesn't cover the tourniquet area. Forearm and wrist band surgery, they are used alone. They can be used as a lone block in the area if the surgical area is lies in the area supplied by a particular nerve, and mostly these blocks are done often in association with the distal blocks. The material required for rescue blocks, obviously it is a PNS guided lecture, so it's a 50 millimeter needle is the most commonly used. But for wrist block, even a 25 millimeter insulated needle along with a PNS is sufficient to give a wrist block. For conducting proper rescue blocks, anatomy of the area is very much mandatory. And when what I often say is, when you look at the arm, you develop a habit of start to visualize the nerve from outside, something like a surface anatomy. Can somebody mute yourself, please? In arm, anterior and lateral to it lies in on the anterior and medial medial epicondyle. Near wrist, it enters the hand and it lies between the flexor digitorum muscles to lie between the flexor carpi radialis and palmaris longus. This is the patient position. The arm preferably lying comfortably on the table and fully supinated. Coming to landmarks for the elbow block. The lower part of the biceps muscle, as you can see here, highlighted over here. When it is lifted, the humeral artery, that is the continuation of brachial artery. And here you can see both nerves in this picture. So this particular nerve is the median nerve. Then the elbow flexion crease. Our puncture point lies around 4 centimeters from the elbow flexion crease and in the bicipital groove, just medial to the brachial artery. Insert the needle perpendicular to the artery with a slight cephalad tilt until a medial response is elicited. Reduce the current which you have started from 1 milliampere to 0.4 milliampere. If you still get the response, inject 6 to ml of local anesthetic. This is a very simple technique. So what are the motor responses and muscular responses? It is due to stimulation of the which are supplied by the median nerve distally, that is flexion of wrist and fingers, pronation of forearm. These are due to pronator muscles and major part of the forearm flexor. It also supplies the 3 thinner muscles which also get contracted and first 3 lumbricals. This stimulation of all these muscles result into flexion at the level of wrist as well as fingers and pronation of forearm. Just a figure showing the bone and joint innervation of median nerve. The most of the supply is in the hand and very little in the forearm except lower end of the humerus. Next block is the radial nerve block. I have 2 videos which I will show again, showing all these stimulations. In arm, the radial nerve curves behind the humerus. As we know, in the axilla, it is on the lateral side of the artery. Sorry, it lies on the medial part of the axillary artery, but it curves humerus. It crosses the lateral intermuscular septum, and at the junction of lower and middle thirds, then it passes vertically down between the brachialis and supinator longus muscle in the external bicipital groove, while just above the lateral epicondyle, it divides into 2 branches. The 2 branches are, posterior branch is motor. At elbow, it crosses over the radial hair. This is the posterior compartment of the forearm, where it divides into three terminal branches. Anterior branch is sensory. In the anterior part of the forearm, it lies vertically behind the brachioradialis muscle, just above the wrist. It becomes superficial and accesses the dorsal region of the wrist, where it divides into three terminal branches. Fascial position is same as that of a medial, same as the median nerve. Coming to landmarks. What are the landmarks? It is very same. As I always tell, most of the PNS guided blocks, the entry points are in some intermuscular groove. So those are the easy landmarks. With the hand, you can easily palpate grooves on both sides of the biceps muscle, which is very prominent in muscular patients or even in otherwise normal patients also. As you can see, this is the elbow crease line. This is the biceps muscle, and the nerve is coming out from here in this particular figure. The first landmark is the lateral edge of the biceps. For the median nerve block, we were on the medial side. For radial nerve, we will go in the lateral bicipital groove. This is the prominent lateral edge of the biceps muscle. Then other landmark on the other side is the brachioradialis muscle, this side. The third landmark is the elbow flexion crease, and our puncture point lies 4 centimeters above the flexion crease of the elbow and in the bicipital groove. How is the needle entry? As you can see, this is a PNS guided needle going in this groove. The direction is towards the epicondyle, but slightly cranial directed. This is the picture where the anatomy is exposed while the muscles have been removed. See, the needle is going towards the radial nerve over here, somewhere over here. The technique. Insert the needle at 60 degrees to the skin in a cephalad direction. Advance towards the lateral epicondyle, passing beneath the biceps tendon until a radial response is elicited. Inject 6 to ml of local anesthetic. As everybody knows, these are standard terminologies, and one must get accustomed to these standard terminologies like a radial response, medial response, ulnar response. It has to be in our mind. What is a radial response? Obviously, it is an extension. So, coming to the motor responses, it is the extension of wrist and fingers and supination of the forearm. Just to complete the theory, it's a bone and joint innervation. As you can see, radial nerve is very important in bony innervation of radius and ulna. For any surgery on the forearm, like any plating or nailing, so radial nerve must get blocked. So because it has a major contribution, and even in the hand. Now, it's very easy to block a musculocutaneous nerve if it is not blocked proximally. Musculocutaneous nerve, as we have in our anatomy learning, it is, the name itself says it's a musculocutaneous. That is, it's a muscular nerve at the level of arm level, while it's cutaneous nerve below at the forearm level. So at elbow level, it has already become a cutaneous nerve. No muscle innervation from the musculocutaneous nerve side at this level. So PNS cannot be used to block this. A simple infiltration through the same puncture point what we use for the radial nerve, administration of anesthesia to block the musculocutaneous nerve. This is the local anesthetic injection using the same needle subcutaneously on the lateral edge of the biceps suffices to cover the musculocutaneous area innervation, skin innervation. The third block, that is the ulnar nerve block at elbow. Coming to some anatomy, in the lower two-thirds of the arm, the ulnar nerve lies behind the medial intermuscular septum and the brachial artery. At elbow, it lies at the posterior region in the median parabolic Renan groove. In the forearm, it accesses the anterior compartment through the flexor carpi ulnaris arch. And at the wrist, it crosses the Guillain Canal just behind the flexor carpi ulnaris tendon. At the distal part of the canal, it divides into two terminal branches. The position of ulnar nerve block is somewhat different than what we used for the block. Here the arm is 90 degrees to the body and the forearm is again 90 degrees to the arm because of the landmarks. Where is the ulnar nerve placed at the level of elbow? As you know, it curves around the olecranon, in between the groove in between the olecranon and the medial epicondyle. It curves on that. It is easily palpable, producing tickling sensation even if we touch it forcefully over here. But this is not the area where we block it. The reason I will come to it later. So when we are not injecting at the groove level, though it is very superficial because there are chances of injury to the nerve because of the bone behind it, it easily get impaled with the needle and produce a long-term damage. So it needs to be blocked either 2 centimeter proximally in the arm or 2 to 3 centimeter distally somewhere here in the forearm along the path. So if you know the path properly, you can easily block it using a peripheral nerve stimulator. This is another picture showing the surface anatomy of the ulnar nerve and the median nerve. It goes like here and it's going to curve around the epicondyle. Extended, showing the internal anatomy, showing the bony groove where it crosses. So block it somewhere here or here. Puncture site and technique. These are the two pictures. As you can see how the needle comes. Insert the needle 2 centimeter above the medial epicondyle at a 45-degree angle with the skin in a cephalad direction. Advance the needle until an ulnar motor response is elicited. Reduce the current to 0.4 milliampere and inject 6 ml of local anesthetic. There is an alternative technique, as I said earlier. It can be blocked towards the forearm side of below the medial epicondyle, 2 centimeter distal to the medial epicondyle. Insert the needle at a 45-degree angle with the skin pointing in the direction of the hand. Advance till an ulnar response is obtained. Inject 6 ml of local anesthetic. This is the alternative approach, where a diagram showing all the nerves and the bones is shown and how the needle is going to come and directed towards the ulnar nerve. Never inject in the epicondyle groove. See, because there is just bone behind. If the needle goes directly on the nerve, it may impel the nerve. Flexion and what are the motor and muscular responses according to the supply of the ulnar nerve? It is the flexion and ulnar inclination of wrist. There is a flexion of 4th and 5th fingers and one important muscle response, that is adduction and flexion of the thumb also. It is very important to know, even though it is an ulnar nerve and lying on the ulnar side of the forearm, one of the nerves, when it goes into the palm, it crosses and turns towards the thumb and supplies the opponents and flexor muscles of the thumb. Just to complete the bony innervation part, it is shown in this figure. The supply of the ulnar nerve. The olecranon is mainly supplied by the ulnar nerve along with the radial head on posterior side and the terminal two phalanges and metacarpal. This skin innervation diagram is in entirety shows whole of the cutaneous innervation of all the nerves of the arm and forearm. As you can see, the different colors have been used to show the different skin innervation. This faint blue is the palmar aspect. This is the median nerve, comes over here. Then median nerve also supplies terminal parts of the fingers here. Then on ulnar side, This is the ulnar nerve area, and on posterior aspect, that is the dorsal aspect, significant portion is also supplied by the ulnar nerve. Whereas on the radial aspect, the radial nerve supplies the most of the dorsal part of the hand and wrist, but also, as you can see from here, some part of the musculocutaneous also come over here. So even if you are blocking the radial nerve, musculocutaneous nerve also has some role, and there is some so that also needs to be taken into account. Then this part, uh, there is ulnar nerve in this color. This part shows the medial cutaneous nerve of the arm, and this part shows the medial cutaneous nerve of the forearm. Let us see the video of this block. This video I have done long back. Here I am showing the block of the median and radial nerve, and for this particular surgery, to block for the tourniquet as well area supplied to cover the area supplied for some external fixator or K-wire fixation. So the musculocutaneous part also needed to be blocked. So I have blocked a musculocutaneous nerve at the level of axilla in this particular video. So that will also be useful. It's a very easy technique to block a musculocutaneous nerve without blocking the nerves at the axillary level. Sorry. As you can see, the bicipital grooves I am palpating over here, and I have marked 2 points approximately 4 centimeter above the crease line of the elbow. These are already marked. Somehow I have missed the palpation in this, but I have palpated it. I have paused the video. This is just to show what I palpated over here a bit earlier. Coracobrachialis muscle. This is the coracobrachialis tendon. How to identify the coracobrachialis tendon? In muscular patient, but in fat and elderly patient, this muscle is very thin. So palpate the deltoid. There is a definite age of the deltoid on the anterior side. The first muscular portion just below the deltoid, and in between the axillary artery and the deltoid portion, muscular bulk, what I have taken in the pinch of my finger, is the coracobrachialis tendon. The musculocutaneous nerve lies exactly inside this coracobrachialis tendon, and we are going to block it, the muscle itself, in the tendon itself. So I am giving local anesthesia before using a. I always give a small wheel of local anesthetic so the patient remains comfortable when we insert the PNS needle. The patient has been treated with fentanyl midazolam, so his patient is not moving at all. The surgery is fracture lower end of radius, K-wire fixation. This is the lateral aspect. So this is the radial nerve block I am performing first. Then I will go for the medial nerve block. You can see the current is 1 milliampere. Slightly cranially in the bicipital groove, and I can see the extension of the fingers here. I will reduce the current, assistant will reduce the current to 0.4 milliampere, and there I will inject 62 ml of the local anesthetic. Then I am going towards the medial side. This is the medial nerve block. Here, the important point is you have to palpate the radial, brachial artery lies somewhere here, and I am going medial to it. The chances of puncture of brachial artery are here, so you must palpate it first. So I am lying just medial, very superficial. See, almost 3 centimeter of my needle are outside and just 2 centimeter deep. The nerve, I encountered the nerve. Can you appreciate the flexion of the fingers and wrist cannot, but fingers you will appreciate here. The current is reduced to 0.45. There's still good response. So my needle lies close to the nerve. I am completing my block. Yes. The last part of the video is the musculocutaneous nerve block. Here I have told where I have palpated the coracobrachiolis muscle and tendon. My needle is going inside it for the targeted musculocutaneous nerve response, which is the flexion of the elbow, contraction of biceps and coracobrachiolis and brachialis. Can you appreciate? Yeah. See the current. Some manipulation is often required so the needle remains stationary in a particular place. This is the axilla, this is the head, this is the body of the patient. We have finished the blocks at the elbow. Now we'll go to the wrist blocks. The median nerve lies in the carpal tunnel between the flexor tendons. Anterior branch of the radial nerve is the sensory component of the radial nerve at wrist and hand. PNS can't be used here as the nerve is purely sensory. Ulnar nerve lies along the ulnar artery and can be blocked near the wrist. This is a typical anatomy picture at the level of wrist. As you can see, there are number of tendons and two nerves, important nerves, and there are different branches. What is important shown in this picture is the palmar cutaneous branch, which is coming from here and supplying this particular block. Previously, by blind technique, we used to block the median nerve very close to the wrist, somewhere here. But this branch gets skipped if the median nerve is blocked right. So the idea of blocking at the wrist is little proximal to the wrist level. That is better for a better block and better coverage area. The median nerve anatomy at my wrist, at wrist, here, as you can see, the first landmark is the flexor carpi radialis. Flexor carpi radialis, this one. This is towards the thumb, that is the lateral side. And next is longus, it is highlighted now. Palmaris longus is fairly near the center, but still both these tendons lie little on the lateral side. This is the cross section showing both these tendons and the nerve lies deep to it. Then there is a wrist flexion crease and it is 3 centimeters above the crease line. This is another diagrammatic picture where there's a partial cross section. This is the palm and see how the needle is between two tendons and going towards technique. Insert the needle 45-degree cephalad between the tendons. Advance the needle 1 to 1.5 centimeter until a median nerve response is elicited. Inject around 6 ml of local anesthetic. What are the motor and muscular response expected? It is the nerve supply of the muscles in the hand. Contraction of 3 thenar muscles, that is abductor pollicis brevis, flexor pollicis brevis, opponens pollicis, the first 3 lumbrical muscles, resulting into flexion of the thumb and opposition of the thumb. It will come in the video at the last. To complete the theory, the bone and joint innervation when we block the median nerve at wrist level. These are the things. Coming to ulnar nerve landmarks, the same figure is there. We are now on the ulnar side. The first important landmark is the flexor carpi. It is the very easily visible, almost visible in most of the patients. The next landmark is the ulnar artery going under the retinaculum in the hand. Then wrist flexion crease, and the puncture point is, there are two techniques of blocking ulnar nerve at the level of wrist. Either you can go behind the flexor carpi ulnaris, or you can come from front in between the ulnar artery and the flexor carpi ulnaris. Here the first landmark, this is the lateral approach. In the cross section, you can see the my needles will come from this side towards the ulnar nerve. This is the lateral approach, 5 centimeter proximal to wrist crease and posterior to the flexor carpi ulnar. Needle will come like this. It is not very close to the wrist, but fairly proximal, 4-5 centimeter proximal behind the posterior to the flexor carpi ulnaris. This is the puncture point. It's a little crude figure. See. The techniques of block: insert the needle perpendicular to the skin, passing behind the flexor carpi ulnaris tendon. Progress the needle parallel to the table until elicited motor response. 6 to 8 ml technique. 6 to 8 ml. And there is an alternative technique, what I was talking about, that is by anterior approach. The puncture site is located between the ulnar artery and flexor carpi ulnaris. You have to be very careful while doing a wrist block that the needle should not enter any artery, because arteries we use as landmarks, but at the same time you should be used to fixing the artery with your fingers of other hand, so that you go very close to the artery but not in the artery. At the same time, one should not puncture any of the tendons, which can produce a lot of pain and inflammatory process to the tendon, and we don't want that. The puncture site is located between the ulnar artery and flexor carpi ulnaris. Insert a needle perpendicular to the skin. Progress until elicited motor response, that is the ulnar response. What is that? Motor and muscular response, abduction, flexion, and opposition of the fifth finger, that is the hypothenar eminence muscles. Adduction and flexion of, as I said, one nerve goes to the thumb. Contraction of the 3 hypothenar muscles, that is the muscular response of stimulation of these 3 muscles. Part of the thinner muscles, adductor pollicis, flexor pollicis brevis, and muscles which are stimulated by the ulnar nerve stimulation. And the last 2 lumbricals. Now, the nerve remaining to be blocked at the level of wrist, that is the radial nerve. Median and ulnar nerve were motor nerves, whereas radial nerve at this level, only the anterior branch comes over here. The anterior branch radial nerve is purely sensory at the level of wrist, and PNS cannot be used to locate it. Just above the wrist, it becomes superficial and accesses the dorsal region of the wrist, where it divides into 3 terminal branches. Patient position blocking the radial nerve here is somewhat different. Here the forearm is neutral, that is, it is not supinated as well as not pronated also. It is a midway. Here is the anatomical snub box. This is the landmarks are anatomical snub box and proximal part of the wrist. The technique is very simple. Just inject a local anesthetic solution on 2 centimeter on both sides of the lateral edge of the forearm, just above the crease line. This is the injection which produces block of radial nerve. As you can see, the branches of radial. So that will cover the dorsum of the hand. This is one more figure showing where the block works at the level of wrist. As you can see, there is a musculocutaneous nerve coming from here also. And one important I want to stress over here is for surgery involving the base of the thumb, muscular block should be associated as the latter supplies the articular part of that area. So many times we find that even if we are given a good wrist block, blocking as well as the radial nerve by cutaneous injection, sometimes there is a pain at the base of the thumb. In orthopedic surgery, K-wire fixation or something like that, they need block up to here. In patient, the pain is because of the inadequate blockade of musculocutaneous nerve. So if they are applying tunica or something, as I showed, musculocutaneous can be easily blocked at the level of axilla. So that is to be covered if you want to do completely under regional anesthesia or you need a sedation. This is the video captured from a presentation on Facebook about the wrist block. This is the mechanism to show or to make prominent the two important muscles, or rather tendons, which are the landmarks for the location of median nerve. These are these two tendons, the flexor carpi radialis and palmaris longus. How to make them prominent? Tell the patient to touch the thumb to the last finger, which makes them prominent. Can you see these have become prominent? So my puncture point will be somewhere here. Sorry for the poor audio. So the response is, median response here at this level is just flexion and opposition of the thumb. It's not fingers, only thumb. It's not a very good video, but you might have seen the flexion of the thumb. Now coming to ulnar nerve. This is the lateral approach. I have gone behind the flexor carpi ulnaris to stimulate the ulnar nerve. There is a movement of the thumb as well as these two fingers. One more and the last video of my presentation about the wrist block. The direction of the needle can be this way or this way according to your convenience. This is the anterior approach of the ulnar nerve. Thank you.